it's undeniable that Gareth Frank Bale cemented his name in recent football history.
But it's also a fact that he has one of the most controversial careers.
So, in this video, you'll figure out if he received less credit than he deserved.
Or was he just a flash in the pan Real Madrid player?
Hey there, I'm Velma.
Hi, fellas. I'm Payton. And first thing we want to thank you for you view this is the first video of the channel Dog Sports.
And if you like this kind of content, well, you know the rule of thumb, subscribe for more content and turn on the notifications.
Now let's ride.
Nothing in this play suggests that one of the greatest talents in European football would come out of here.
Let alone that a son of school janitor and law office will become one of the most awesome player of the last years. But yeah, this happened.
At age 8, in a 6-on-6 tournament, Bale caught the eye of an England team scout, Redknapp, a Southampton scout who saw a future in him.
But like most athletes, Bale had struggles from the start. His parents had to drive 140 kilometers to take him to training, and he was physically weak and scrawny. Different from one of his most valuable features that he showed throughout his career, the athleticism.
But Bale was determined to improve, and what he lacked physically, he made up for technically, especially as a free kick specialist, a skill that unfortunately is becoming extinct in football. But his efforts in the training sessions started to pay off, and at the age of 16, everything would change for him.
Things started to look up at Saints. At this time in his career, he was a left back, a very different position from what he would play in the future. But it didn't concern him. He was showing incredible potential as an offensive weapon.
Bale made 40 appearances for Southampton in the championship, scoring 5 goals and providing 11 assists during his time at the club. In addition, he was called up to the Wales national team, becoming the youngest player to wear the Red Dragon shirt, even younger than Ryan Giggs, the idol he dreamed of one day equaling.
And it didn't take long for a big team to buy him. In the 2007 season, Tottenham Hotspur took a $10 million shot on him, the most expensive left back in history until then. But not every beginning is a bed of roses, because a bizarre phenomenon occurred, and a quote-unquote Bale curse rumor began to swirl among Spurs fans. Every time him entered the field, Tottenham went on a 24-game winless streak, recording 0 wins. Things got even worse when, in December 2007, he sustained a foot injury that required 2 surgeries and the insertion of a metal pin.
However, in the first years of Bale's career, he was a dog, and that injury didn't impact his game at all. He even made a full recovery. Still, he wasn't an untouchable Spurs starter, as he struggled to defend, a trait that, especially in that era, was inevitable for a fullback. But one guy had a brilliant idea. By the way, an idea that will change his future forever. And by Bale's luck, that guy was his coach.
That guy was Harry Redknapp, a man known for many things, but especially for his instinct. After extensive training, Bale changed his course in 2009 against Arsenal, and from that moment on, he wouldn't stop scoring goals. He made his debut in the most famous club competition in football, the UEFA Champions League. Today, we all know that he is a true specialist in this competition, and in the 2010 season, he showed the entire world what Gareth Bale was capable of.
Going up against the Champions League champs, the legendary Internazionale squad. He banged in 3 goals after halftime, and one of them will be considered one of the most memorable goals of his career. That helped the team in the return leg in London, where Spurs somehow managed to edge past Inter, sending Tottenham through to the next round, something the club hadn't pulled off since way back in the 60s.
And Bale was just in form after that. As scorer and playmaker in the seasons that followed, he almost hit that sweet 10-10 mark, 10 goals and 10 assists, showing the flash of his total potential.
But in the 12-13 season, when Andre Villas-Boas, the new coach, completely freed Bale, no fixed position, total freedom, and that's when Bale's peak began. In this Premier League edition, at that time called the Barclays Premier League.
How bad I missed this logo and aesthetic.
He hit 21 goals, almost all of them decisive, almost all of them spectacular, granted him his first individual award, Premier League Player of the Year.
That quiet kid from Cardiff who everyone thought was too skinny, now basically running London. Check out what Micah Richards, Manchester City defensive player in that time, spoke about. Bale performs.
He destroyed me. Peace, power, fitness, everything.
Been playing hero for fans who barely know what winning feels like. No offense, Spurs fans, but you know I'm right.
Bale was flying at that time, being coveted by the best teams in the world. But no one could have predicted that the biggest team in terms of titles would come calling. Now, the climax of Bale's story was about to unfold.
September 1, 2013, 100 million euro, the most expensive transfer in history at that time. The Welshman was now the most valuable player on the planet. At his presentation at the Santiago Bernabeu, 85,000 people chanted his name, filled with hope for titles. He was joining a team full of talent, including one of the top 5 players in history, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema. Together, they would form one of the most memorable attacking trios in modern football history, the memorable BBC. As usual for Bale, the first months are difficult in the new team. Him barely could speak Spanish, a different tactical system, overwhelming expectations, recurrent injuries, things that will be quote-unquote normal in his tenure in Madrid. But after a little while, though, he's going to show everyone what he's made of and start bagging those game changers, the kind of goals that'll make him a legend in Madrid.
His first decisive moment would be in a final, the famous El Clasico, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, the team where the GOAT played most part of his career. But it didn't faze Bale. 85 minutes in, score tied. M receives the ball in his own half, and what happens next goes down in Spanish football folklore. More than 50 meters covered, 35 kilometers of speed. The poor defender Marc Bartra tried to push him out of bounds, but Bale took a shortcut out of bounds and showed all of his athleticism in 9 seconds. The most expensive man in the world justifies every penny, helps the team win the cup against their bitter rivals. This goal is considered one of the greatest athletic showcases in football history.
But in the next month, exactly in May 2014, was Champions Final, a stage Bale had never reached before. But this was his zone, you know? Big moments, finals, now the main event in Champions. Dude was straight up hungry to make his mark in Madrid's story. The dream of La Décima, the 10th European trophy Madrid fans were dying for. Against their city rivals, those bad boys from Atletico. The game was insanely stressful, super tight, and ended all square. Extra time, baby. Then Bale made Champions League history, smashed one in, and carved his name into the biggest club ever. La Décima had arrived. In just one season, Copa del Rey, Champions League, European Super Cup, Club World Cup, 4 trophies.
After that season, Real Madrid suffered a hangover year and didn't make much noise and go in trophy lists that year.
But in 15-16 season would be another history. On the field, the numbers don't lie. Bale is approaching his physical peak. Speed, power, precision in matter of goals. That was abundant for Bale, his highest scoring season at the club. Reaching mark of 19 goals and under the command of Zidane, legendary player, now his coach. And again, Madrid was in the UCL finals, this time against Atletico. Again.
Bale plays with pain almost all game along, regular time tied again. This time 0 goals on extra half, 120 strenuous minutes. Tie. Penalties now, the joy of football? Well, just for those who aren't the fans of these teams.
But even with his body asking for rest, the mind prevails. His penalty scored and helped Madrid to win another UCL, La Décima, Real Madrid's 11th European title, 2 Champions League in 3 seasons for the Welshman, and in October 2016, he renewal until 2022, 600,000 euro per week, one of the highest paid athletes on the planet. The marriage between Bale and Madrid seems indissoluble. His legacy in a good way to become a legend, but it just seems
because from now on, the controversial Bale's legacy started indeed. And between November 2016 and May 2017, Bale missed 27 games through injury. The body that took him to the top now imposes its limits. His problem with injuries that he got a long time ago started to resurface in his life, and while his teammates integrated into Madrid life, Bale remained a foreigner. On the pitch, a superstar. Off the pitch, a stranger in a strange land. And at this point, he picked up a hobby that would become a highly controversial topic in his life outside of football: golf.
And Hill started to feel more quote-unquote motivated playing for his national team, Wales, which has helped Wales exceeded expectations by finishing second in their qualification group, ahead of traditional teams such as Bosnia-Herzegovina and Israel. The expectation for Euro 2016 was low, with many doubting the team's ability to progress beyond the group stage. However, one name stood out for Wales: Gareth Bale. The Real Madrid star was considered the technical and emotional leader of the team, with his performances in the qualifiers being crucial to their qualification. Bale was Wales's main hope, but the challenge lay in building a cohesive team around their star player.
He was undoubtedly the most decisive player for Wales. His statistics reflected his importance throughout the tournament. Playing 6 matches, hitting 3 goals and 1 assist, him also demonstrated his ability in crucial moments, with his free kicks and individual play standing out. His goals were not only numerically significant, but also emotionally and tactically impactful for his team, and kept his composure in a highly tense moment. His contribution was vital in helping Wales overcome Belgium, one of the tournament favorites and one of the country's greatest footballing achievements. Wales reached the semifinals, losing the match against Portugal, but it doesn't matter at all because it was already a Cinderella story for Wales and Bale.
Coming back to Madrid while Bale recovering his injury and play some golf. In his absence, others shine in his place, and Real Madrid wins without its most expensive star, and they made it to the UCL finals against Juve. The finals was happening in Cardiff, Bale's birthplace, but he comes in only in the final minutes, already with the victory guaranteed. A supporting player in his own home.
The 2017-18 season is a roller coaster. More injuries, more time on the bench. The shadow of a transfer hangs in the air, and the Spanish newspapers speculating about his departure, but Bale got an ace up his sleeve for the most important game of the season.
May 26, 2018, Kiev, Champions League final against Liverpool. Bale again. On the bench, minute 61-1 on the scoreboard. Zidane looks at the bench. Sometimes great moments need great men, and sometimes great men find a way to create great moments. 3 minutes after entering, a cross from Marcelo. What happens next?
Just a spectacular bicycle Bale's goal, and as if that wasn't enough, he scores again. This goal wasn't a masterpiece, but helped to destroy this goalkeeper Kehrer, and 3-1 decision closed.
5 years, 4 Champions Leagues, 9 trophies in total. In purely mathematical terms, a trophy every 6 months. For the club, historic numbers. For the player, perfect paradox, never so victorious, never so far away. In June 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo leaves Madrid. The stage is empty, the crown. For Bale, finally the chance to be the absolute protagonist. The man for whom Madrid paid €100 million 5 years earlier.
But football, like life, rarely follows the script we wrote for it. The passion for golf becomes a symbol. While his teammates sweat at the Bernabeu, cameras catch Bale on Madrid golf courses, and he didn't pull off anything spectacular for Madrid since the Liverpool match in 1920 season. Just 2 goals and 2 assists. Instead of retracting himself, Bale embraces the image. He incorporates golf into his celebrations, the silent messages, and in Madrid, irritation grows. For the club that pays his salary, absences due to injury followed by call-ups to the national team are an insult. For Bale, they are a matter of national priority. Bale said, "Representing my country is the greatest honor of my life. There is no better feeling."
Zinedine Zidane say this when the press asked him about the situation. Zidane told, "If Bale can leave tomorrow, better. It's nothing personal." And for Wales, he remains a god. For Madrid, a mercenary. And in a match for his national team, Bale made the celebration. The flag, the words that would split a career in half: Wales, golf, Madrid. In that order, his start, sleeping on the bench, putting a mask in order to cover his eyes.
And in September 2020, finally a way out. Back at Tottenham on loan for a season, London welcomes him as a returning hero. Madrid sighs in relief even though he pays part of his salary, but his time there wasn't spectacular, scoring 16 goals and 3 assists in all games he played.
And in summer 2021, end of loan. Return to Madrid, and in May 2022, the contract finally ends. 9 years, 106 goals, 67 assists, 19 trophies. There are no grandiose tributes. There are no tears. The separation is as cold as the marriage had become. How do you define the legacy of a man who conquered everything and yet seemed to belong nowhere? And after that, the most big stuff Bale made was help qualify Wales for their first World Cup since 1958, scoring 2 goals in a semi-finals. Victory against Austria, always being the man who carrying a nation on his shoulders. For a man often described as aloof in Madrid, the feelings in Cardiff are quite different. 0.111 games, 41 goals, absolute record holder in both categories. When the history books of Welsh football are written, there will be an entire chapter dedicated to a name.
After 9 years, 258 games, and 19 trophies, the turbulent marriage between Bale and Madrid finally ends. A 32-year-old player free on the market with the World Cup on the horizon, speculations multiply. Return to Tottenham? Early retirement? His boyhood club, Cardiff City?
The answer surprises everyone. Los Angeles Football Club, MLS. United States in reality. Your participation is minimal. A few minutes here and there, enough to keep the pace. The priority is clear: to arrive in one piece in Qatar World Cup, where Wales didn't make so much noise as expected.
And in January 9th, 2023, through a simple post on social networks, one of the greatest talents of his generation announces his retirement at the age of 33, for many a premature farewell. For Bale, a decision perfectly aligned with his priorities. And we want to thank y'all for the views. Hit the like button with you wanna. So much more content like that. And we'll bring content for other sports too.
And answer in the session comment below how you'll define Bale's legacy. So peace up, guys. Bye-bye.